This is Mark Carrington from My Bitcoin Profits with a weekly view on what's happening in the Bitcoin price. You'll remember last week that I presented a chart showing where the buying zone would be. This is the Bitcoin against the US dollar. It's a weekly chart, and I identified from this Fibonacci a buying zone which is between the 0.6 and the 0.786 on the Fibonacci, where it touches this trend line, and with a horizontal line which I shall draw in here coinciding with this bottom here. So when those three things come together, I'd be interested in buying, and of course I would be looking for the right sort of price action. Well, it's been a tumultuous week in the markets, and we can see we're not in the buying zone yet, so I am not interested in buying Bitcoin. But let's spend a little bit of time reviewing where we are year to date with Bitcoin against a series of other markets. Let's just start off with the Bitcoin number. The Bitcoin, this is from the beginning of the year, has gone from 431 to 381, so that is down 13%. Now let's see how that stacks up against the other markets. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at stock markets. And as pretty well always, what I'll do is the first thing I'll do is I'll look at the United States market. So we're looking at the S&P 500, and we'll see from the beginning of the year, which is the top of this arrow, the S&P 500 has gone from 2042 to 1851, so that's to yesterday's close, which is down 10%, so not quite as far as the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has performed worse. If we just step across the pond, or the ditch as they sometimes call it, across the pond to Europe, looking at the Euro Stoxx 50, that's the top 50 companies in Europe, we'll see in the same time frame the Euro Stoxx 50 gone from 3288, that's this level here, to 2736, that's down 20%. So Europe has taken a much harder hammering than the United States or Bitcoin. Let's step across to the Far East and have a look at Japan. And the prices I have here is this is an exchange traded fund that tracks the Japanese market, so it's expressed in US dollars, and Japan has gone down 13%, so it's about the same as Bitcoin. And then let's just step across to China, and again using an exchange traded fund that tracks the Chinese large cap stocks. China has actually performed worse than Europe. It is down 22% year to date. And this could be a lot worse given that we've had a Chinese New Year, so the Chinese market's actually been closed. So this is the American market's views of what's actually going on in China while the Chinese market is closed. Now, if we step across to currencies, let's just see what's happening in currencies, because we also know that the comments by the Federal Reserve last week sort of spooked the market, and the US dollar has also fallen. Currency moves tend not to be as large as market moves, and the US dollar has fallen from, this is a dollar index, so it's an index of the US against all other currencies, has dropped by 2.8%. And then the last comparison I'd like to have is to have quickly to see where that stacks up against two other things, and it's in answer to the question is, where has all that money gone? And part of it has gone to the safe havens. Well, it's gone to the safe havens. So people have sold their stocks down, they've sold their US dollars, and they have been buying Japanese yen. So we'll see the Japanese yen that has moved from this level here. Let's take the end of the year, which is this bar here, which has gone from a level of 120, just around 120, to around the 114.5, and that is an increase in the strength of the yen of 4.8%. So when this chart is going down, the US dollar is weakening and the yen is strengthening. So a fair whack of the money has gone towards the Japanese yen and to Japanese government bonds which are deemed to be safe. Now, the other place the money has gone to is the other classic safe haven, and this is a movement we've actually not seen for a while as aggressively as this, is the money has gone towards gold. And we'll see this gold has made a bottom here, it has turned a corner, and from the start of the year has gone up 12%. So there's the story of how Bitcoin figures in the overall scheme of markets. So it has dropped 13%, whereas Europe and China have dropped in the 20s, but it's not dropped as much, or maybe it's dropped as much as the US. So the Bitcoin is basically behaving in exactly the same way as every other asset class, as people are deserting all risky assets and heading to the safety of the Japanese government bonds and also European government bonds, which is quite surprising, and also to gold. So from a trading point of view, so let's go back to the daily, and we'll remember where we are. I've not changed any lines on this chart. Last week we were triangle to triangle, which way to trade, and basically what's happening is the price is tracking sideways along here on this short-term trend line. It seems to have broken this one here, but quite frankly we can just draw another one there. So we're still firmly in a triangle, so I would absolutely not be interested in trading. Now I do want to show you what a breakout of a triangle actually looks like, and here is a fabulous one which is happening right at the moment. Once my internet decides to draw this, and this is a triangle. The instrument we're looking at here, this is silver against the US dollar, and it's on a daily chart, and this is a triangle I drew in some time ago. So you can see the higher lows here, and we can see the lower highs here, and we've seen the triangle the trade has done what I described to you some time back. It's broken out of the triangle, it's come back, it's absolutely tested that downtrend line, and it's headed upwards. So where would the trade entry have been? So we've got the touch here, and then we're looking for a reversal. So we've got an inside bar here, and we could have entered the trade at this level here, above this bar here, or above the bar afterwards. Where would the stop loss have been? The stop loss would have needed to be at this level here, below this bar, and that would have been a very handsome trade. So a very classic breakout of a triangle, and that's really what I'm looking for Bitcoin to do before I will consider a trade. So I'm either going to wait for it to break out of this triangle, or I am going to wait for it to break further down, back to the weekly chart, into my trading zone, and then I will hit it on a reversal here, probably if it breaks down here. So for now, staying away completely, but we're understanding in the context of the markets, Bitcoin is behaving in exactly the same way as all other risky assets. Happy trading and happy Bitcoining.